Go on, folks. Read something quick for you. It hurts to let go. Sometimes it seems the harder you try to hold on to something or someone, the more it wants to get away. You feel like some kind of criminal for having felt, for having wanted, for having wanted to be wanted. It confuses you because you think that your feelings are so wrong. And it makes you feel so small because it's so hard to keep it inside. When you let it out and it doesn't come back, you're left alone. Something you can't explain. Damn, there's nothing like that, is there? I've been there, and I know you have too. You're nodding your head. Bifocals, ain't they pretty cool? So that's pretty deep to me. And what I'm gathering from it is when you like somebody, you try to show them how much you like them. That can sometimes backfire. And then they almost get scared and then they back away, or maybe they get completely just turned off and they don't end up liking you. And you don't know what you did wrong. Like you're trying to be, the great guy and trying to be a great girl or whatever, because it happens both ways. And it backfires. And it goes both ways. That can happen to either one, because there's times where I've done it both ways. I've been the one that maybe showed them too much. I really was into them, making sure I did all the right things, maybe then some, which, all that kind of stuff cools down after the first, it's kind of what they call the lust time. And then women have maybe done that and got me scared and maybe kind of ran away. Just because I was like maybe a little bit too much at one time, or too much at the beginning. And it's too bad, but that's what attracts people, is they want the challenge, not so much somebody falling all over them. But yet, once you've been together for a long time, if you do get together, somebody's not getting enough attention, or someone's not there, and then you think back, you didn't want it at first, now you want it. Like, because, it's scary at the beginning. I mean, I've been saying this to people for a long time. I almost think, not that that's what I'm basing it on, but at my age, I feel like part of me think it would be easier to be with somebody that I've already known, or somebody that kind of knows me. But on the other hand, I don't like people having preconceived thoughts, because sometimes people think about stuff maybe somebody did when they were young, or they heard something through the grapevines that maybe isn't true. Or even if it was true, that doesn't mean that person's the same person now, or, you know what I mean? So I've always been someone that's done it. I mean, I've always been, I think, when I do love somebody or I care about somebody, I'm very attentive. I always try to make sure that they know it. But that's only happened a few times where I've been really into somebody. Like, of course, I was married once. And, but what I find to be a problem these days is, well, for one, it's been hard dating outside of stupid apps. But is the effort's not there. Before we had cell phones, and you youngers won't know this, but you had to do all the work yourself. Like you didn't have no list of people to pick from. You just had to see somebody you think is cute, you ask them out, you start courting them. You kids don't know what that word means. It means kind of taking them out and showing them a good time and being a gentleman and all that good stuff, opening doors. And it was easier then. And that was not easy, though, at the time. Think about this. So back then, you may meet somebody or you see somebody at the bar and you finally get the courage up. Maybe you've seen them a few times there and you're like, go do this. And you go up and then there's 2 or 3 girls talking to them and you're really freaking scared because there's like their friends are with them. And then you end up doing it. And you ask them for their number. You may end up getting to strike up a conversation. Maybe you don't, but you got the number. That was a big deal to get a phone number. So man, you got to play that stupid game. You can't call them the first night, right? Maybe not even the second night. That's so dumb, ain't it? Maybe call them the third night. And that's a very, very awkward and short phone call. Kind of just breaking the ice a little bit. But it goes okay. The next night, you talk. You may talk all night. You may talk for a couple hours. If you don't talk for very long, man, it's not looking good. 2 nights in a row, awkwardness. The second night, that's what I said, that the second night, you probably should talk for a while if it's going well. So then you finally, you ask her, maybe go out, go bowling or whatever the hell it's what we kind of used to do. Do a movie or whatever. Take her to that movie. It goes well. Next thing you know, you're hot and heavy. You're dating, full blown, right? You know what is the difference there between then and now? You wasn't doing any texting, first of all. You talked on the phone and got to know somebody for hours. That's a good conversation there. The next thing is you didn't have to wait 2 weeks to meet them. You met them already the first night when you asked for their phone number. And then the final thing is you don't have hundreds of other men trying to get with that same person. You're not competing. If you are, it's maybe one person at the most, maybe 2, but they're not playing around because they don't want to maybe get their nose bopped. So you really don't have anybody interfering with your opportunity to win this woman over, and vice versa. The girls don't have to be skeptical. Like, I wonder if he's talking to other girls too, because you would know, because there was no cell phones. There was no sneaky texting or dating sites or porn sites, any of that shit in the palm of your hand. That's what's fucking up society. I hate to break it to you. Cell phones and the internet is what's screwing up the common relationship between a man and woman. Families, they're not the same old time family units. Most of that's because there's a lot of cheating, and that's because a lot of people, there's just too many choices. The internet gives you choices in the palm of your hand. You have to set yourself up mentality. Your mentality has to be set to know that once I find the right one, I'm not thinking about another woman. And now that's where I'm at right now. I'm not going to settle, but I'll promise you this: the next one I start dating, if we're digging it, if we're getting along and it's working, I won't even think of another woman. I don't get rid of something that's working. I'm not somebody that fixes something that ain't broke. Now, when I was in my 20s, I was probably a little more of a player, but I also wasn't sure what I wanted at those days. You know a lot more what you want when you're older. And if you've been through a divorce or whatever the case may be, you know what you don't want, what you want. But I've gotten such a different mindset when it comes to, especially being open to different types of people. I may have had a little narrower window before, but I know that as long as they're good people, and I'm attracted to them, we have a good vibe, I'm not worried about it. I'm not going to be too picky. Picky, but not too picky. The women is who's making it hard, and good for them. They have, tell you what, older women, they're getting hotter and hotter the older they get. I don't know. It's crazy how good some of them look, and they know it. They got the cream of the crop. Literally, most women can just pick whoever the hell they want. That makes it tough on men. It really does. Think about it, because I mean, I go into it a little bit gun shy, thinking I got to really win her over because she's got hundreds of them looking to wait to take my place right now. And don't think women don't do the same thing men do. I mean, I'll admit right now, especially with a dating site, there may be two or three people if I'm talking to, if I'm lucky, but not for a long time. Maybe just at first to see if one of them pulls, moves, comes forward and actually puts some effort into it. Because I got news for you, man. I can't sit and text with somebody for 2 weeks. Nah. If I can't talk to them within a few days on the phone or in person, it's going to fade. There's no way it's going to have a chance. Because for one, people don't check their stupid dating sites very often. Now, if you're texting each other's phones, maybe a little bit easier, but I'm still not doing the texting thing for a week. That's a lack of effort on their part, is the way I see it. And I don't want to hear anybody say, oh, you got kids. Everybody goes to bed and their kids go to bed before they do. You got 10 minutes before bedtime, or 10 minutes at lunch, or some time to talk on the phone. So that excuse I don't buy. And if it's nerves, there's no better way to break those nerves than to do it. Come on, I'm a confidence builder. You aren't ever going to break those nerves if you don't just do it. I always say it doesn't matter how good you are, how fast you are, how smart you are. The bottom line is you have to do it with anything in life, or you're never going to get over it, or never going to compete, never going to win. So if you guys would see what I was saying there, though, back when we were younger, it was a lot easier. You didn't have other guys trying to hit on them, and then you also didn't have her looking for other options that made it better. Let's face it, we all do it, especially these days. What have you done for me lately type of thing, or shit, this guy's a little cuter, or even us. Mine's never been that way. If they're cute enough for me to see or date, another one's not going to pop up and be like, oh, wait, she's cuter. As long as the one I'm talking to is giving me the effort, I don't need to talk to anybody else. But I don't know if women do that. Because women, they know it. They know that, especially when you get older, the men aren't looking as maybe young as the women are. I think men are aging more than men are, or women are. I could be wrong. But I know this much. Women, and this is just an example, like women, if they wanted to, they could probably get laid every single night by a pretty good looking dude. Just because men aren't going to say no like women do usually, unless they've got somebody they're talking to. But what I'm saying, it doesn't matter. Then they'll just go to the next one. It's not a problem for a woman to get a date or have sex if they want. And that doesn't mean they're looking for that, but that's what's scary, because you almost feel like you have no security when you start dating somebody as a guy, because they could just easily, somebody better could come along. And don't think women don't look at every avenue. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to date some skirball just because they got money, but women date for more than just looks. And I mean for like prestige or money. Sometimes they'll date for that shit too. Guys don't probably as much, because we almost don't feel like, we don't want to have a sugar mama. I mean, I'm not saying I would turn down something like that, but that wouldn't be my first choice, because men want to feel like men. They don't want some woman taking care of them. Now, granted, if it happened, I'm not saying it would just be a complete no way type of thing, but of course I don't ever have that happen to me anyway, but women do. Women do. Women have men that are loaded that end up them kind of men usually can have whatever woman they want to if they're at least halfway good looking. But those guys tend to be the fucking assholes too, and they'll dump you in a heartbeat and get somebody new. That's something you got to think about. Not all of them, but a lot of them. They just like their Porsches or their 911, they trade them in for something better, or newer, or younger. So be careful with that. But dating's fucked up. So that brings me to the last point here I want to bring up. It's going to really change gears here. I'm asking for people to just be open. I'm not saying anybody needs to say any sorries or apologies, but I don't know what else to do besides just ask for people to let's put things aside, at least for the meantime. I mean, everything, Democrats in politics, Republicans politics, everything needs to go to the side for a while. And from the bottom of my heart, everybody has the ability to put their differences aside. I know I do. I've said some things. I know a lot of people have said some things. I haven't been too damn derogatory. I get frustrated just like you guys do. And we need to come together for the betterment of this country and for the future of our kids. I mean, if you have problems, if you have issues with oppression, you think, or whatever the case may be, just put it aside for a while until they get this country back. We have to be joined together for once. That's the only way this works. They've told us that. And I would love to have you be my brothers, at least for the short term, because that's the only way this works. And if it's that hard for you, then you have your own issues. Because one thing I'll say, and I'm not trying to insult here, we're all oppressed. I can't say that enough, unless you're rich. They oppress us in so many different ways. Maybe some of us overcome it because we make enough money to. But the fact of the matter is they straight rob us. A third of our income every month, if not more. That's a fucking house payment. And more than likely, most of us have a house already paid off by then, if it wasn't for that. If we make close to middle wages, but even if we didn't, that's the other thing. Credit scores. That's such a scam too. It amazes me how credit scores give people worse credit or give people worse interest rates or keep people from being able to buy something, or they have to rent and then it costs more to rent because they can't get it, or just even buying something, you get charged more interest. So now you're going to make it even tougher on that person who's got bad credit because they struggled a little bit financially. So you're going to make it a little harder on them by giving them a higher interest rate. And that's what I don't understand, because they'll give you that just for, not even for a loan, just because you have bad credit, they're going to punish you because they really don't benefit them in certain things. They're not benefiting from you having a higher interest or not giving you the loan. It's silly. Or not giving you the loan. Anyway, bottom line is, because that's the other thing, guys, this is why we have to take our country back, because it's bigger than that, you guys. It really is. It's bigger than that. It's a fact of the matter. And I would love to and in the goodness of my heart, do it like a online event. I mean, I can even do it from my website or on Facebook or something and explain everything. I mean, I can't do it on maybe TikTok or like YouTube because they'll ban it. They won't let us show the truth. They will on some things, but some things they won't. It has to do with the vaccine, they won't fucking let it be up. If it has to do with the election, they won't have it be up. It has to do with the taxes, or like the government robbing us. They for the election, they won't. They'll say misinformation even though who tells them they got to know? Who know? How do they know? That's my philosophy. Who determines who's got the truth and who's not got the truth? Right? And so it comes down to this, it comes down to opinion first. Why should our opinions be censored? TikTok don't know the right answers. They're just basing it on what the government or the news says or whatever. Because there's a lot of things that you guys don't know about that's happened. And God forbid, that's the other thing, trafficking. I know so many people don't believe that's even going on, but oh gosh, yes. I've got more stuff than I ever want to ever see again. I can't unsee it. It's proof. And I would think that would give us a motivation to come together. So besides, I'm just sick of this shit. I hope you guys are too. I want to get back to everybody loving each other, man. Everybody, I mean, off this app even, it's affected my relationship off this app. And that's been the hardest thing. And I was talking to somebody about this today. Sorry seems to be the hardest word for people to say. And that's a big problem in our country, I think. Because you know how far just saying sorry goes? Even if you don't mean it, which would be kind of shitty, but just to say it to somebody that really would love to hear that, you may save a relationship by just saying it. Fuck your ego. Is the relationship more important or your ego? I'm talking about close people, friends or family, people you've been fighting with. Then fucking say it. Elton John made a song about it. Sorry seems to be the hardest. Can't sing right now. But no. Think about this. Those fucking 2 words. No, it's just 1 word. Or 2. I'm sorry. Or you could just say sorry. Why is that such a hard thing for people to say? I mean, I've dealt with this my whole life. Like, if I've had an argument with somebody, my opinion, there's fucking 2. I don't care if one of them was worse than the other. You both had a part in it. The only way someone doesn't deserve an apology is if they got their fucking face beat in by their boyfriend or something. They didn't do anything wrong, right? But if there's an argument, I don't care who started it. First and foremost, you have to realize, what was the argument about? Why did they get mad? Even if you didn't do anything at first, am I sorry for what made them mad? I mean, you got to really think about every single angle, because I don't care if it's very minimal. When someone tells you sorry, say, man, I'm sorry too, man. That's huge. But when somebody goes, hey, I'm sorry, and you go, thanks, that's a slap in the face, because you don't think he's worthy or she's worthy enough, or you don't care enough about that person to just say sorry. And it wouldn't kill you to say it. What's going to happen to you? Ooh, your ego going to be punctured? Is the relationship with a loved one more important? Because that's a big deal. A lot of people don't fucking know how to apologize. I don't have anybody that ever apologizes to me. And they're usually women. But I'll tell you one thing, there's studies out that women tend to be the more confrontational a lot of times when there's a fight. And they tend to push sometimes and push. And Jordan Peterson said it. You can't win. You can't win against a crazy woman. You have to throw up the white flag. Because with 2 men, if they're having a discussion and it starts to maybe get heated, they both in the back of their minds know it's the end game, right? What's the end game? This could go to fists. So they both maybe try to avoid that, because that's not where anybody wants to go. That's not what you want to do. So they're be more reasonable with each other, maybe figure it out before it gets that far. With a woman and a man, the man's probably trying to backtrack and trying to, okay. And if they start being more aggressive, and then the man gets more aggressive, and then it escalates, that's because a man's forbidden to hit a woman. Not saying they don't do it, but a woman can push. My mom used to do it all the time when I was young. I'm like, Mom, just stop. Like, what do you want? Did you want him to hit you? Shut the fuck up, So, but don't get me wrong, there's a lot of women that are innocent too. They don't do shit, but they say the majority of spouse, spousal arguments, the woman's more aggressive than the man usually, for whatever reason. But maybe it never gets to that far. But women can be a little bit tough. They get a little crazy, cray. So my point is a lot of that comes from egos. We have to let go of our egos sometimes, guys. We have to. Everybody. You may think you're right, but how right do you need to be? Is it worth losing a relationship for the rest of your life over fucking saying sorry? Oh, 1, 2 words. Come on. Because it's like people think that they didn't do anything wrong, but your feelings got hurt. They don't have to care what they think, but they can't tell you that your feelings shouldn't be hurt. So just right there, a person should say sorry in case I hurt your feelings. Even if they don't think they did. They don't know how they affected you. So the classy, empathetic thing to do for a loved one is just say you're sorry back. Or be the first to say it. Who cares? I've said sorry before and I didn't do a fucking thing wrong. Just to get it over with. That's simple. You're not going to lose your life because your ego gets harnessed a little. Who's going to care? You shouldn't care what anybody else thinks but the person you're saying sorry to, probably. Nobody's going to say shit to you for saying sorry. So that's just something to think about. We can all do better the way we treat people. I can tell you that right now. I've been probably more shitty than I've ever been in the last 3 years, only because I get triggered easier. Because I've had so many people do me wrong, man. I ain't gonna lie. Loyalty is a lost art. It really is. And I empowered myself, so I've got boundaries now. I used to take a lot more shit than I do now. But I don't feel like I have to. I should have to. I stand up for myself. I maybe used to not do that. And it's okay to stand up for yourself too. Just make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. And if they apologize back. Get it over with. Anyway, I'm going to go, man. Hope you got something out of that. We do need to try to get together, guys. Enough is enough. Let's take our country back. See you on the flip side. You know why? Because it's easy. God bless.